Hello Stampers, I'm Kelly Acheson at stampabove.com, coming to you from Menasha, Wisconsin. I am an independent demonstrator in the United States. Today for the Totally Techniques blog hop, we are featuring a whitewash technique. This is an oldie but goodie. It's a technique that I am so glad we're revisiting because it really is very beautiful. I'm going to be using the Gathered Together and the Gathered Leaves bundle, and we will need white craft ink and an aqua painter. A little bit of embossing. I'm going to make some beautiful fall cards for you today. Let's flip the camera around and I'll show you how to do this. I'm going to bring in my cardstock here. We've got 3 scraps: crushed curry, old olive, and Cajun craze, and then a piece of crumb cake that is 3 3/4 by 5. A layer of Whisper White that's going to go behind that, that's 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. A Whisper White layer for the inside that's 4 by 5 1/4. We've got a Cajun Craze card base that is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. Oh, look, it's got something on it. Let me grab a different piece. I don't know what that was. Well, we've got a new piece here. We're going to fold that in half and burnish that edge good. And then I also have already taken the liberty of die cutting one of these stitched nested labels, and I like to number mine. The ones on this side are from the largest to the smallest. We've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is size number 3. That just helps me be able to explain it to you. I'm going to start off by stamping this label right away. And again, I'm using the Gathered Together stamp set as well as the Gathered Leaves dies. We've got Cajun Craze ink here. We're going to stamp that greeting right there. And then I'm going to bring in some crumb cake. And I'm going to stamp off once with this wheat image, and I want just a very light little design on there. And I just love the way that that looks. Okay, this piece is done, and as long as I've still got it in my hand, we're going to put some dimensionals on it. These are actually pieces of dimensionals. Don't forget to use the outside edges of your dimensionals. They work just as well as the inside ones. All right, next we're going to do a little stamping on the inside. We're going to get all these other bits and pieces done. Bring that Cajun Craze back in here. And our inside greeting says, "May this season bring you smiles and love that will last all year." What a beautiful little sentiment, right? And then that's crushed curry, and here comes our crumb cake with the wheat image. This is ready to go inside our card. Get my liquid glue going here. Add this right in here, and then I'm going to show you that technique. Oh shoot, look at what I did. Darn it. Let me get that out of there quick, because that's not going to work. And let's try that again. This is real life stamping with Kelly. This is the way things go sometimes, right? Okay, we've got the Cajun Craze. Here comes the crumb cake. Let's try that again. There we go. I'm not going to stick my fingers in it. Okay, that's ready to roll. Now, let me close these up quick. And we're going to bring in our Versamark. I've also got my embossing buddy. Here is our crumb cake layer and some white embossing powder. We're going to rub our embossing buddy all over our crumb cake layer. And then I'm going to take the large leaf image and I'm just going to stamp this all over the layer. And I'm just randomly going to move this, twist this, turn it. I want my leaves to be very nice and random. Maybe you want your leaves to be uniform. It's completely up to you. Maybe one more right there. Okay, always make sure you're closing up your ink pads before you get that embossing powder out, because if you've ever spilled it, I sound like a broken record, if you've ever spilled embossing powder in your ink pad, you know what a disaster it is. It's very hard. I don't think you can get it out. I never have, but I've done that. So there's my word of advice for you. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna set that aside. I'm putting the lid on it just in case. Also been there, done that. And we're gonna heat set that. I'll be right back. Okay, there we go. We have everything embossed. Now, the whitewash technique involves white craft ink and an aqua painter. I've researched this a little bit, and it really does work best with water. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna dab your aqua painter into your white craft ink, and you're going to whitewash your image inside of those embossed lines. And I'm kind of squeezing out a little bit of water here, and this will continue to flow or allow you to fill it in as long as it's still wet. So it's pretty neat. It just kind of flows around there really nicely. And you can see that I'm not being very careful with this either, because it is a very easy technique to stay inside the lines. You don't have to be real putsy with it and real precise. But this creates a beautiful whitewash background. Crumb cake is the most often used card base for this technique. Now, I would certainly like to try this in some other colors too, but I haven't yet. Maybe I'll be able to do that in the coming days, because I really, really like this technique. So I've got another little thing to show you with this technique too, and as soon as we get our card put together, I've got another card made where I'll show you a different thing that I did with it. Just going to continue to fill this in, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, here is our entire background that is whitewashed. And then you can take a paper towel, a piece of paper, whatever you have. I'm pushing a lot of water through here to get that white ink out of my aqua painter. And there we go. It's ready to roll for a color. Okay, the rest of our card. I am going to take this and put it on a very thin margin white layer. And that's just going to help make that crumb cake pop. I think I might have to get out a new glue here shortly. There we go. Look how nice that looks, right? Then we're going to take some of the Cajun Craze Baker's Twine. This is from the Come Together combo pack. And I'm going to wrap this around 3 or 4 times, whatever suits your fancy. I think I'm going to just do it 4 times here. And then I've got a piece of tape stuck to my finger. Just going to do that. There we go. You can spread them out. You can push them together. It's your card. You can do whatever you want with them. And then I've got these little pumpkins. Now these are die cut. They're stamped and die cut, okay? The little pumpkins right here, and embossed on crumb cake with white embossing powder. So what I'm gonna do here is I should have done this before, but I kind of forgot. I'm going to whitewash these pumpkins, and then I'm gonna show you something cool. So I've lightened up my cardstock, and that makes for a good base to then add a little bit of color. Whoops, where'd my Cajun go? Right here. Here's my Cajun Craze. I'm going to pull a little bit of that color in here. I just want to get a little bit of it off. I don't want it to be super, super dark. Maybe that was too much. And now I'm going to bring this in, and I'm going to color my pumpkins. I made them white first so that color will show up really light and it won't be super dark. Now, you can see that there's a little bit of color on my white embossed lines. If you just take a tissue and polish that off, it makes them bright white again. All right, now we're gonna get this card together. This is a super pretty card. I've got one more really good tip to share with you. And this is something that I shared on my Wednesday tip video. Every Wednesday I publish a video, and it's usually just a stamping tip, kind of making things easier for stampers or figuring out little things to do that are cool. I'm going to take all 3 of these pieces. Let's set this aside to our pumpkins. All 3 of these scrap pieces, and I am going to emboss and die cut them with the leaves that are in here. Okay, these are really pretty because they do both. They die cut and emboss at the same time. So I've got 3 different ones here. I'm going to take my spritzer and I'm going to spritz my paper. Just wet it a little bit before I run these through. My big shot, whoops. Well, you got to actually spray the paper. There we go. My spritzer was pointed in the wrong direction here. So I'm going to do all of these and I'll show you in a minute what that does. I'll be right back. Okay, here we go, you guys. Look at the difference between this one that I sprayed with water and this one that I did not. Can you see how neat that looks? Yeah, it looks like I've inked this die up, and instead all I did was spritz water onto my cardstock. So really cool technique. And if you have any trouble getting these out, there's no dots to poke these cardstock out. I just toss them on my tabletop and they will flop right out. And again, we've got a little bit darker where it's indented there. And here's the last one. Sometimes you need to flop them down on your table a couple times. Look how cool that looks. Got this one and this one and this one. And it looks like you've put ink in there and you didn't. You just spritzed it with water. This is without water. These 3 are with water. Look how dirty my hands are, my Lord. Okay, so you want to let those dry a little bit because our adhesives don't like to stick to things that are wet. Just a valid point there. I'm going to bring this in, and the gather together is going to go right over here. I'm going to grab my mini glue dots. And I'm going to just arrange my leaves in here. Let's get this crushed curry. Whoops. See, it doesn't want to stick. Yeah, because this is still kind of damp. So best to do those first. There it came. And then they'll have a little bit of drying time. This green one is pretty dry. Whoops, maybe I'm a liar. I'm not a liar. There we go. I'm just going to put that right in there. And now we're ready to take the backing off of our dimensionals and set that right in here. And then we've got the pumpkins. I'm going to take those pumpkins and put a dimensional right over here on the side, just like that. And I'm just going to kind of tuck the pumpkins up here so they're kind of touching my label a little bit. What do you guys think? Is that not cool? What a pretty card. Are you ready to see the other one that I made? Let me clean this up a little bit. Okay, here we go. Here's the card that we just made. Here's another one. And with this one, I did the exact same technique as I did on this pumpkin. I whitewashed my embossed pumpkins, so they're stamped on crumb cake the same way I did the leaves. And then I added some pretty peacock ink with my aqua painter. And this is the Come to Gather Designer Series paper. The combo pack of ribbon comes with this beautiful ribbon and this Cajun Craze Baker's Twine. So you get both in a pack. This is all part of the Come to Gather suite of products. And I did the same thing with the leaf here. I sprayed it first before I die cut it. And you can see the difference there. It's darker on the indents. And then the inside of this card just has the leaf or the wheat in there. Oh, one more thing I forgot to do. I've got a pumpkin here and I wanted to just add that to the inside of my card, just like that. just because I had some extra pumpkins cut out. So you guys, that's the whitewash technique. We've got it all by itself here, and then we've got it here where we whitewashed and then added some color, and it really makes that color pop, but also be kind of muted. If you would like to order any of these products, please head over to my blog. You're going to find an online ordering button in the right-hand column. Use this host code if your order is under $150. If it's over $150, do not use the host code. You're going to get some stamping rewards from Stampin' Up, and I definitely want you to have those. Make sure you click up here so you can continue on. This is an international blog hop with the Totally Techniques design team. So you're going to find one demonstrator from each country showing you projects using this whitewash technique. So you're going to get a whole bunch of different ideas with this. And I'm pretty sure one of them is doing flowers, where they left most of the flower white but just added a little color around that inside center. So you're going to love these. And before I forget, thank you guys so much for taking a little bit of time out of your day to spend it with me. Click down here to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You don't want to miss anything I have coming out. Have a fabulous weekend. Bye-bye.